Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Nova Armory Cleaning and Armor series. Today we have a Shadow Systems MR918 Elite, which is based on a Generation 3 Glock. First off, we're going to remove this light just to get it out of the way. Second, we're going to verify this firearm is empty. To do that, first off, ensure that the magazine well has no magazine in it. Second off, ensure that there is no ammunition in the gun. We're going to lock the slide to the rear. We're going to visually and digitally inspect to make sure there's nothing in the chamber. At this point, the proper procedure to take down a Glock is slightly different from the Sig Sauer that we've covered in a previous video. What we do is, rather than rotating a switch, I'm going to bring the slide to the forward position, grip the gun in such a manner, pull the slide back about 1/8 of an inch is the Glock spec that they specify. Also, this is your takedown switch here and here. It's a piece that runs through the gun from side to side. Must be gripped with a finger on one side and a thumb on the other side and pulled down. You can see the movement here. Slide comes back 1/8 of an inch. This is pulled down, slide jumps forward, trigger's pulled, and the weapon separates. Once the slide is removed from the frame can be set aside. We'll press down on the recoil guide rod and remove it. The barrel will be pushed out, slightly forward, and then pulled back to separate the major components of the slide assembly. From there, we're going to inspect the bore of the firearm. As it stands, this firearm seems to have been shot quite extensively recently. You can tell by the coloration here versus the coloration here, where there's a lot of carbon buildup. What we're going to do is, first off, put some solvent down the bore of the barrel, and then we're going to run a brush through it. Now, fortunately, because this firearm is a custom variant of a Glock, this rose gold color you see on it is actually a titanium nitride coating. Titanium nitride creates a slicker surface that's actually harder for carbon and other contaminants to bond to, so they tend to be easier to clean. So we'll take some of the residual solvent that's on our paper towel from just now, do a basic exterior wipe down. You can see all of that carbon just coming right off. Now, there are still some spots here that will need more attention, such as right here towards the hood of the barrel near the chamber and the feed ramp. For these sections, we're going to use a bronze wire brush, and that's cleaning up quite nicely. Moving on, we're going to go ahead and get a patch, swab this barrel. There we go. And alternatively, we're going to go ahead and use a bore snake on this one, which is something we haven't covered before. But a bore snake is a great cleaning tool that has a brass weight at one end, which you can thread through. If you'll notice, on this section, there's bronze or copper wire brush embedded in the bore snake, plus a fatter section that serves as a swab. So a bore snake is sort of an all-purpose go-to bore cleaning tool. Go ahead and pull it through the barrel, and that's going to pull out the remainder of any residue that's in there, yet still leaving behind a thin coating of lubricant. Satisfied with the condition of the barrel, I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. The next step is going to be getting a nylon brush instead of our copper or bronze wire brush. This already has some solvent on it. We're going to go ahead and loosen up any carbon deposits that are inside the slide. Now, granted, depending on how dirty your firearm is, you may want to spend more attention on these areas if you have thicker, more stubborn carbon deposits, but these are the areas you want to focus on. Back here in the breech block, the area ahead of the barrel, inside the slide rails, and of course the breech face itself. Once we've loosened those deposits, I'm going to wipe off any excess carbon. As you can see, there's quite a bit coming off here. Once satisfied with the condition of the slide, we're going to set that aside. Take the guide rod, which should have some deposits on it as well, but usually nothing too intense. Give that a good wipe down with a paper towel. You can see there's very minimal deposits coming off the guide rod and recoil spring assembly. Set that aside. Now we're going to move on to the frame. These 4 points here are very important for the function of the firearm. They are where the slide rides. They need to be kept clean, of course. So we're going to brush off any deposits from there. Once again, give as much attention to detail as necessary for your firearm and its condition. Also, there's going to be a lot of carbon residue in this area because this is where the chamber sits, and as the slide moves rearward after firing each round, a lot of expended gases are going to come out this way. So we'll give it a scrub in here, into the magazine well, towards the front of the frame. Make sure you pay attention to the fire control group. I'm going to go ahead and wipe deposits off of here. Quite a bit coming off our frame, as you can see, especially towards the front. And we're going to go ahead and run some towels up through the magazine well to remove any other carbon deposits that have found their way into that area of the firearm. Now we're going to go ahead and reassemble our slide after giving it a good coating of oil on the barrel. This is Slip 2000 enhanced weapon lubricant. You can use whatever gun oil you like. Even CLP can be used. It is a lubricant and a preservative. So basically a single drop of oil to coat the barrel on a Glock. Give it one drop right here, the locking face or the locking lug. Now we're going to reinsert the barrel with the locking lug facing up. Barrel is in place. Next, take your recoil guide rod and spring assembly. Reinstall that. And then, to ensure that we have proper operation, a Glock style pistol, you should have one drop of lubricant right at your trigger connector, and then oil all four of these load bearing surfaces in your frame where the slide rides. Place the slide back on. Glock is reassembled. Finish by wiping down your shadow systems, ensuring that the exterior is free of excess lubricant. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, a cleaned and lubricated Shadow Systems MR918 Elite. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for stopping in to another edition of the Nova Armory Cleaning and Armor Services video series. We'll see you soon.